Hi guys, Ed here with GameHog's Top 10. So this week the World of Warcraft movie is being released, a game that's been made into a movie. So we're going to count down our top 10 movies that have been made into games.
At number 10, it's X-Men Origins Wolverine. Fans of the X-Men movie franchise were hugely excited to see their favourite character finally get a film of his own. However, the end result was slightly less exciting than they'd hoped, with a confusing plot and dodgy CGI. And don't even get me started on what they did to Deadpool. The tie-in game, however, was much better received, with a hack-and-slash gameplay fitting of the titular character. Although it was criticised for being slightly repetitive, the game managed to be something that the film wasn't. A lot of fun. Number 9. The Thing. Whilst technically a sequel to John Carpenter's excellent 1982 horror film, the 2002 video game adaptation of it was met with strong reviews thanks to its engrossing story and innovative gameplay. This saw the incorporation of a trust system where the player would have to earn the trust of NPC characters in order to progress through certain tasks or puzzles. It was very keeping in the spirit of the original film, whilst making for an enjoyable, albeit unnerving, gaming experience. Trust no one. Number 8. Ghost Rider. The 2007 film adaptation of Ghost Rider was not really one of Marvel's finer moments, where the character of hard-drinking, chain-smoking Johnny Blaze was toned down somewhat to be, well, Nicolas Cage drinking jelly beans from a martini glass. But much like X-Men Wolverine, this tie-in game fared much better than its film, with hack-and-slash gameplay very similar to God of War and Devil May Cry. Alright, it was pretty much identical, but that didn't make this any less fun. Number 7. Ratchet Clank. Okay, so this one's kind of unfair, because the game series has been going long before Insomniac decided to turn it into a film. But with the film adaptation came an excellent reimagining of the first game, with stunning visuals, a tweaked plot, and improved gameplay to boot. We've spoken in the past about how this may be a perfect game reboot, but what it certainly is a perfect film adaptation. Number 6. Ghostbusters. After the release of the second film, fans eagerly awaited the third film in the Ghostbusters franchise. What they eventually ended up with was... Actually, let's not go into that minefield. But along the way came a fully realised video game starring most of the original cast that the series creator Dan Aykroyd considers the third movie. Ghostbusters the video game managed that rare achievement for film-based games of actually being enjoyable. I mean, who wouldn't want to be the new recruit in the original Ghostbusters team? Number 5. Aladdin. Kids who grew up in the 90s will no doubt remember the immensely enjoyable 2D films that Disney used to make. Alongside those games came a series of video game adaptations by Virgin Games, and none are more memorable than Aladdin. Whilst at times it could be punishingly difficult for a game that was played largely by 8-year-olds, this addictive 2D platformer had all the makings of a great tie-in game, fun gameplay, and colourful visuals that actually felt like you were playing the film itself. A special mention should go to their adaptation of The Lion King. It's decades later and I'm still trying to get past level 4. Speaking of 4, at number 4, we have Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. The Prince of Persia series has had some immensely enjoyable games accompanied by a great story, so it's no surprise that it was eventually turned into a movie. Alongside the release of Disney's Sands of Time movie came The Forgotten Sands, a short tie-in game made to capitalise on the hopeful success of the movie. Whilst the tedious link between the two seems like this game was an obvious cash-in, it's very enjoyable in its own right, bringing back everything that was great about the original trilogy, and not leaning in on the film's anachronisms. Number 3. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. 2001 saw the release of the first of Peter Jackson's epic Lord of the Rings trilogy, and EA were keen to release a game to capitalise on it. However, with production delayed, they instead chose to shift their focus from The Fellowship of the Ring to the next film in the series, The Two Towers. The extra development time clearly had good enough reasoning behind it, as it led to a hugely enjoyable action game. Featuring a number of playable characters and some of the more memorable set pieces from the film, it had great replayability and didn't fall into the trap of abusing its source material, rather making simple, effective use of it. Number 2. SpiderMan II. The sequel to Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man movie will always be remembered as the superior film from the original trilogy, and the game is no different. In fact, it's often regarded as one of the best movie-game adaptations of all time. Whilst the main plot is loosely based on the film, Spider-Man 2 broke the mold by incorporating a free roaming system where the player could explore New York City as Spider-Man, helping random citizens out with their problems. The developers nailed the incorporation of Spidey's abilities into the game, in particular the swinging between buildings, which felt immensely satisfying as you travelled from mission to mission. Something that may seem commonplace now, but for its time was unheard of. Finally, at number 1, it's Goldeneye. Who could argue with this game taking the top spot? Goldeneye 64 was a pioneering game for its genre and is widely recognised as one of the best games of all time. Developed by a small team of relatively inexperienced developers, Goldeneye was released a full 2 years after the film, as the team wanted to give it the full attention it deserved. The single-player mode in itself was enjoyable in its own right, but it was the inclusion of a multiplayer mode that really made Goldeneye shine. The game's success led to a slew of other James Bond games for various systems. None of them were arguably as good as Goldeneye though. But it was remastered for modern systems in 2011.
Thanks so much for watching this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check out last week's top 10 hogs in games. You'd be surprised to think we managed to fill a list of 10. If you've got any top 10 lists you want to see, let us know in the comment section. I do this after every video. Get used to it.